Hi, I'm Adam Martin, and I'm going to be playing through my visual novel game, the Gotham Art Horse League. It was made in 2024. I'm an artist in New York City. The bright fluorescent lights and familiar smell of wet, fresh paint as I step through the gallery doors. The unfinished walls, unhung canvases, and art handlers taking measurements. The rainy, foggy day of the city feels distant and muffled by the starkness of the league. "You're late," a voice says from behind me. It's my gallerist, Roman. Let's stay silent. Well, anyway, Roman sighs, it's going to be a busy weekend for you. I hope you're ready. I nod, even though my thoughts were already drifting to how exhausting this weekend will be. Roman's gaze on me felt heavier than any of these large canvases the handlers were hanging. I owed Roman for this, everything. I think about the first time we met, how Roman's intense gaze felt exciting and flattering back at my thesis show. Now his gaze just made me feel anxious. I walked around the space, making small talk with the art handlers, installing my work. I start to flash back to my thesis show, as if the memory were part of the gallery walls themselves. It had been a humid day, and I was horribly sleep-deprived, but the adrenaline of my first show had me wide awake. Small plastic cups of cheap wine, making small talk with my school peers, friends, and teachers. There was a small group of 3 well-dressed older adults. They looked fancy, and I didn't recognize them from school. One of them was Roman. He approached me and occupied my attention for the whole evening. He was showering me with compliments and smart-sounding questions about my work. "You have got something here," he said, looking me directly in the eyes. "You could go far," he was saying in different ways. "You just need to follow the right guide." This felt like a dream. I, like many of my friends, was desperate for this type of validation outside of school. I can't believe this was 4 years ago already. I had been doing a show every year here at the gallery since that day. Anyway, Roman's voice interrupted, pulling me back to the present moment. "Your collectors are talking. Some of them want exclusivity, and one of them is dying to see you. Tonight." I hesitate a bit. I know what he means. I have to start playing the game. Where? St. Regis Hotel in Midtown. Roman moved closer, resting a hand on my shoulder. "Don't be late. It's important." He then steps back to a more professional tone. "Now, let's make sure this installation goes perfect. The work doesn't sell itself after all." The St. Regis Hotel on the corner of Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. It's what you call a 5-star hotel. This isn't my first time here, actually. It's a Beaux Arts style architecture, which I know is some French neoclassical shit. It incorporates fancy Baroque and Renaissance stuff, but since it's done in the end of the 19th century, it uses modern materials. Steel, glass, iron, and the facade is limestone, I think. The lobby is so oppressingly opulent, and I wonder how out of place I look. I walk under the large glistening chandeliers towards the elevators. This place is quiet. The limestone and opulence creating a force field from the busy city outside. I tug the collar of my jacket. Every step, my nerves tighten more. My instructions have been vague, but that isn't unusual. I've gotten used to the cryptic nature of working for the gallery, Roman, and the art world. I knock, but realize the door is already propped open. I push open the lavender metallic painted door and enter. Oh, hello, a cheerful accented voice speaks. A man stood on the other side, older, maybe late 50s, with a shaved head and eyes that seemed to hold no light. He was dressed impeccably, though something about the way he carried himself put me on edge. The man smiled, a cold, thin gesture that barely touched his face. It's great to see you. It's been a while, the man said, his Austrian accent smooth but sharp around the edges, like a blade concealed in velvet. Yes, I think the last time was in Basel last September, right? I reply. I've been looking forward to this, the man said, walking closer to me. There is a bit of awkwardness between us, despite knowing each other. Your show, Roman has spoken highly of the new body of work. Haha, yeah, it's definitely the most work I've done for a show, I reply. I am very excited to see it, he shuffles towards the bar. I recently renovated my home in France, so I'm looking for new art to fill it with. The benign conversation about the work and sales has put me more at ease. The collector adds ice to a crystal glass and pours fancy whiskey into it. He hands me the glass, but we both know we're not here just to discuss art. The collector smiled, a gleam in his eyes. The gallery always sends exactly what I want. Roman's trained you well. My head starts to feel hot. The whiskey burns my throat as I take a sip. You're not just a great artist, the collector whispered, brushing his hand against my face. You're far more valuable than that. The man moved even closer, his presence suffocating. Don't worry, I'll take good care of you tonight, he smiled again, that cold, hollow grin. I step out into the hallway. The collector asked me to spend the whole night, but I had to get out. After we were done, I just felt restless and itchy. I had told him I had some stuff to wrap up for the show tomorrow morning, and needed to get some stuff from my apartment. I forget to press the button for the lobby and ended up on a different level. I step out and just wander around a bit, trying to shake off the weight of the previous meeting. I've never seen this part of the St. Regis. I turn the corner and... Whoa, sorry. A guy laughed. He was wearing a hotel uniform carrying towels. I smiled, surprised by the normality. The guy looked about my age with an easy grin. You lost, he asked? This area has nothing in it, just banquet halls. I'm Lance, the guy leaning on his cart. You don't look like the usual guests around here. I chuckle. Nice to meet you, Lance. No, I'm not a guest. Just had a meeting. Lance gave a playful smirk. Spooky rich people business, right? I laughed. The tension from earlier has totally left my body. Exactly. I'm just finishing my shift. Want to grab something to eat? There's a killer cheap pizza place near my apartment. I'm caught off guard. All I want to do after my meeting was be alone, but this guy's relaxed, flirty nature was refreshing. The gallery was pretty packed, a sea of well-dressed patrons sipping drinks and murmuring about. I was holding court, moving from one group to the next, smiling and answering questions, but the air felt stuffy with expectation. The lights were harsh, and the praise felt hollow. I decided to break away from the crowd. Then I see Lance standing by the entrance, looking slightly out of place. But he smiles when our eyes meet. My mood lifts instantly and I excuse myself from conversation to greet him. Hey, you made it, I say, my smile genuine for the first time that night. Wouldn't miss it, Lance replied, grinning. You saw where I work, so I wanted to see where you work. We go to find a quieter part of the gallery, get some champagne and talk. I had a great time the other night, Lance says to me confidently. I blush and look away. Lance's calm presence cuts through the oppressive atmosphere, making me feel like I could breathe again. For the first time that night, I wasn't performing. Roman, whose eyes I could feel from across the gallery all night, slowly approached, his eyes flickering between Lance and I. He flashed a charming smile, but there was something sharp beneath it. Oh, hello, Roman. This is Lance. Lance is my gallerist, Roman. Pleasure to meet you, Lance. What do you think of the show? Roman asked smoothly. It looks really sick, even though I don't really get it, Lance replies. Roman chuckles. How adorable. I'm glad you guys are having a good time, Roman said smoothly. But there's a new collector very interested in some of the work. He would like to discuss it with you tonight. I tense up, understanding what Roman truly means. I can't, I say, forcing a casual tone. I've got plans with Lance. We're celebrating with some friends. Roman's smile doesn't falter, but his eyes hardened. This is important. The client's ready to make a significant purchase. Before I could respond, Lance, oblivious to the subtext, chimed in. Hey, you should go handle business. We can hang out another time. I look between them, feeling trapped. The walls seem to close in, my heart beating faster. I shake my head, the champagne buzzing in my veins. No, not tonight. I'm done. Roman's smile faded for a second, struggling to conceal his anger. If you don't... I said no! My voice talking in a firmer tone now. I grab Lance by the arm, pulling him toward the exit, leaving Roman standing in the middle of the gallery, seething. I lay sprawled out across my couch, staring blankly at the ceiling, the TV on in the background. My phone sat untouched on the floor. It has been nearly 2 weeks since the opening, and more than a week since Lance had last replied to my text. I was depressed, but mostly confused. I thought we had clicked. There was something real between us, or at least I hoped. A half-empty cup of coffee sat on the floor next to me, the caffeine mixing with the fading calm of the Xanax. I feel so drained, emotionally dulled, and under that was a growing confusion and guilt. I had gone back to my duties for the gallery, knowing that it meant more sales, more clients. But the dissonance just kept getting louder. What did those nights with Lance even mean? The news on TV droned on, half of it white noise. I sipped my coffee, barely paying attention until a jingle cut through the fog. The body of a young man found in Newton Creek early this morning has been identified. I sat up, the mug slipping from my hand. I started to feel weird. A wave of dread washed over me. The camera cut to a shot of a murky waterfront in Brooklyn, police tape flapping in the breeze. The anchor continued, the voice calm and detached. The body has been confirmed to be Lance Ruiz, a 24-year-old hotel employee, last seen nearly 10 days ago. Foul play is suspected, though no suspects have been named at this time. My heart sank. The coffee cup slipped from my hand, crashing to the floor. Chest tightening, a wave of nausea hit me. Lance? My mind couldn't wrap around it. No, not Lance. The news report continues, but the words faded off in the distance. Vision starting to blur with unshed tears. But amidst this darker realization clawed its way up my spine. Roman, the gallery. This is no coincidence. I know who is responsible. The weight of all this pressing down on me, suffocating. My body started shaking as I tried to breathe. I sat in my darkened apartment. The weight of the situation feels like a large blanket that has now covered the whole city. My mind swirled with fury and devastation. The echoes of Roman's orders in my skull. Lance has gone, and the gallery. The entire world Roman has trapped me in was a cage. I have no way out, unless... The decision came to me suddenly, in a cold, quiet clarity. This isn't going to end unless I end the gallery. I walked to my closet, and for the first time in a while, I smiled. I step into the empty gallery. Everyone has left for the day, but I know Roman always stays late. Roman's not here, but I see his belongings and a half-drinking beer. He must have just stepped out. I hide behind some storage. I'll wait. Minutes tick by, stretching into an agonizing eternity, but then the faint sound of footsteps. Roman's voice, low and muttering to himself, came closer. The office door opened and Roman stepped inside, unaware of the dark figure waiting for him. I rose from my crouched position, stepping into the dim light. Roman froze, eyes narrowing at the sight of the masked intruder. "Who the hell are you?" Roman asked, his voice edged with irritation. He squinted at me, trying to make sense of the figure before him, but he didn't recognize me under the mask. Roman laughed, though there was an edge of unease. "Who the hell are you?" Roman asked, but I didn't answer. Instead, I reached for the box cutter on the table next to me. My grip tightened around it, cold metal, pushing up to reveal the blade. watched him bleed out on the floor. I say nothing, I feel nothing. I walk through the empty art show. Something still feels missing. Ending room and wasn't enough. I then go back to the equipment room. I need to burn out the rot. I look back on my art show one more time as the fire starts. I worked so hard and long on this show, but I didn't care. This actually felt great.